What? Did I tap? Oh, yes, I got the touch. Did I tap it? That was well, especially like for me. We don't need no badges. Fancy tie there today.
I'd like to bring the meeting to order. Roll call, please. Mr. Vanta?
In attendance.
Mrs. Frankel? Here. Present. Mr. Klein?
Here.
Mr. Mancinelli?
Here.
Mr. Rosenberg?
I'm here.
Mr. Spindell?
Present.
Mr. Tratner?
Here.
Mrs. Wallace? Ms. Quackenbush? Here. Please join me for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted in order to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of the public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this Act, the Fair Lawn Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof distributed to the persons on the approved list, posted in the Board of Education Administrative Office, and sent to the Bergen Record and the Community News. The announcement of the regular monthly meeting, along with the date, place, and time thereof, was distributed on October 3rd, 2014. The items to be discussed during closed work session of October 16th may include personnel matters, student matters, legal matters, negotiations and/or grievances, tactics and techniques utilized in protecting public safety and property. The results of these discussions will be made public as soon as possible. May I have an approval of the minutes for the regular monthly meeting on September 18th, the executive closed session of September 18th, the Education Committee meeting September 29th, and the executive closed session on September 29th.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're going to have a referendum presentation by Steve Segura of Land Associates and Lisa Gora of our bond attorney and Mary Lyons, the financial advisor. Mary's not here. Okay, Lisa and Steve are here. So I'm going to turn that portion of the meeting over to Mr. Segura and Ms. Gora, and thank you very much for coming.
You want me to sure. Go through the project and then we can talk about the finance of it?
Hit the down arrow on the pants.
Okay. You don't have a laser pointer, do you?
I don't.
Okay.
I do, if you want me to get it.
That's all right, I was just pointing. Use this finger, your pointer. Well, you want to just pass these out.
You don't have one on, like, your finger doesn't just...
Oh, yeah. So I'm passing out handouts of exactly what we're going to see up there, just in case it's not clear. I'm first going to talk about the roofing projects. Just give a quick overview of the roofing projects. And Lisa's going to talk about the state funding. So for my purposes, there's 6 schools that we're going to do some roofing work at. Fairlawn High School, Forest, Lakecrest, PJ Middle School, Warren Point, and Westmoreland. I've listed all the square footage of the areas. It totals a little less than 250,000 square feet of roofing. And the estimated budget for that is $5.4 million. At Fairlawn High School, just to get you oriented, Berdan Ave is up here, the main drag. Main office is over here. So we're looking at the B wing, replacing the roofing on both the gym and the auditorium and most of the B wing. At Forest, we're looking at most of the areas at Forest. The main building in the center, the gym wing, and the rear classroom wing. We're not doing anything with the two pitched roof areas on the sides of the main building. If there's any questions while I'm going, please feel free to ask. At the Lanecrest School, main entrance is over here. We're basically doing the entire original building, except for the 2004 addition that kind of comes off on the angle here. And at the Thomas Jefferson Middle School, just to get you oriented, main entrance is here, Morlot Ave. We're doing this main wing. It's the leaky rubber roofs that you have there. The auditorium is over here, and there down that same wing. And we're also doing the B wing, the science wing. At Warren Point, the original building's over here, gym here, so we're doing the wing in between sections of the and Westmoreland, the whole school. Is there any questions on the roofing part of it?
Just was curious because on all the buildings, like it's different sections. So, like this one is the whole thing,
Right.
but like on the other buildings, it's different sections. So is that just like so you don't have to replace them all at the same time?
Well, there's different ages and different sections of the buildings. We had done a roofing study 4 or 5 years ago, identified areas of more concern, less concern.
Okay.
And we also worked with Tom Senko to determine which areas were the worst when we were developing our report.
And if we also go back to the original roof referendum that we ran in '93, at that point, we had a number of grants, and we utilized it for some of the worst sections that were leaking. So there were, many of them were just the opposite of what you see now. So then we had some more later on. You're really looking at, most of these are reaching their life expectancy, this section. Well, other sections still have
Still
5,
have
6,
some.
7 years to go, or et cetera.
Yeah. I believe most of these, the warranties
Are gone.
expired and
Okay.
it's at a point.
That's okay, Jeff.
In terms of the materials that are used, I'm not a roofer, so the materials that we're going to be, or we would like to be using on these roofs, are there different qualities of material that change price one way or the other? And different warranties and life expectancies based on the quality of materials used on those roofs?
There's a myriad of roofing products.
What's planned for us?
We're looking at a modified bitumen product. It's multiple layers of roofing. I don't know if you know the old built-up roofs where they had fiberglass felts and hot asphalt, and run a couple of layers of felts, maybe put a surfacing on that. The modified bitumen is similar to that, where you have fiberglass felts that are set in hot asphalt, but then you have a top layer that is, it's called SBS, I don't know the chemical name for it, but that's the acronym for it, that has properties that are kind of self-sealing. It's got some rubber in it, or if you punctured it with a nail, it would kind of self-seal around it. And they come with a granular surface. Those generally have a 20-year warranty. We would also look to put in tapered insulation underneath the roof, the final roofing, to direct all water to the roof. It depends if the roof is pitched enough. Generally, the older roofs are dead flat. You know,
Right.
There's drains in the middle, and they usually have the high point. So there are ponding areas and drainage issues. so.
Relatively speaking to, is that the highest quality of the one we're getting? Is that the highest quality roof material we're getting?
There's other products that have higher warranties. There's some rubber products, or PVC that has up to a 30-year warranty. The thing we like about the modified bitumen product, it can take some abuse. And a lot of school environments have low roofs, which most of yours are single stories, not all of them. You know, if there's vandals that get on the roof or kids throw things up, bottles and that type of thing, if you have a membrane roof like a rubber or PVC, you're going to get a cut or something in it that's going to cause a leak.
Okay.
These modified bitumen roofs are, you know, can handle that kind of use.
We've had, just for Jeff's information, we've had a lot of success. As you can hear, what Steve is saying is we have roofs that are way past their warranty, and obviously we take care of it. Our men go up and clean them, and, you know, we remove any debris or kids throw up. But we've had a lot of success. For the cost factor, if you look at the cost ratio from cost to years, it's pretty good. And so we've built up really good. The other good point about the built-up roof, was what he said, is you can build it to drain with the insulation being pitched in certain areas.
Right.
And we can manage that through design. So we don't get the sitting, the puddling, and then the freeze, and the water freezes on the roof, and then it cracks, and, you know.
Makes it all right.
Yeah, so we've had pretty good, I mean, you can get over 20 years on a roof, you're doing pretty
Okay.
well, so.
I appreciate
It's a
your
good question, but we've had a lot.
We've done some other roofing projects in the district over the last 5 or 6 years, and we've used that modified bitumen product. Or the cafeteria at the high school.
Right.
And the new additions.
The new additions we do too.
Back in 2004.
John?
The only sloped roof you mentioned was on Forest, a piece of the sloped roof, the main roof,
Yes, the main
and
roof.
that's gonna get shingled.
Yes.
Shingle.
Yes.
So it won't be a built-up roof, it'll
No.
be
That's
a
the
shingled
shingle.
roof.
That's the only one we have, that's the only shingle roof we have.
Well, we have another sloped roof in Radford, but that was,
We have the next,
that
that's
was
different.
another
That's
problem.
very different.
David, since I can't see you, if you want to ask a question, just please make sure that I hear you, so I can call on you, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Okay.
We can move on to Westmoreland.
Yep. So I just put up a Google map just to give you an orientation of where the addition is proposed. Parking lots up here, playground areas in the front, the athletic fields in the back. So we're looking at, and the gym is here, so we're looking at this section here. It's really the only open, non-parking lot area that's semi-level to work with. So that's why we're using that section of the property. And I'm just going to go through, this is hard to read, only because there's a break in the drawing here. The full school goes out further that way. From this point, and this is all existing building that isn't shaded, anything that's shaded is new or renovated. On this side, which is on the far side from the addition, we're going to recapture the existing media center and make that back into a kindergarten classroom. And when you have a kindergarten classroom, you need a toilet facility within the room as part of the state requirements. There was a toilet there. It was converted into a NDF room for the technology. So instead of seeing the cost of relocating that, we're going to just create a new bathroom. So we have, as part of the project, to carve out a bathroom that will be handicap accessible. And that's the other thing with the existing bathroom, it isn't handicap accessible, so it doesn't make sense to. Just again to orient you, the main gym is over here. We have a wing here. Go back on this one. So we need to leave some buffer between the existing classrooms and whenever we construct new. And the minimum we can have is 20 feet. So that's a 20 feet courtyard that we're going to create by this new addition. And we're going to tie in the existing corridors, and it'll be able to loop around. So you'll have good circulation from not just one direction, but from at least two directions. And as I said, the media center is currently over here. We're going to take that and create a new facility up here, about 2,100 square feet. And that generally has a higher roof, so the ceilings are higher, so it's an open space, bigger space than a typical classroom has. And obviously, you can see it's more than double the size of what you have currently. And this is more in line with the state standards as far as size. We're also adding 8 classrooms throughout and 2 small group instruction rooms, SGI rooms. And 2 new full banks of gang toilets, one for boys and one for girls. We'll have a space for a janitor's closet and IT. And each classroom, oh, I'm sorry, and there's one other space. We have a small office space for child study team. And I'll have some windows because they'll be looking out towards the courtyard. Now, we had a meeting last week. We met with Joanne, Bruce, and I think John was there also. And we were talking about just making sure we can control costs and what we could do to make sure the project comes in on budget. And just as a safeguard, we feel the budget is adequate, but just as a safeguard, we're going to look at some possible alternatives to put on the bid. And one might be we want to provide something that's very durable in the corridors. And we're looking at having terrazzo, but we're going to have an alternate for terrazzo, maybe have a base bid as vinyl tile. Or the other way around, have the base bid as terrazzo and a deduct alternate for vinyl tile. And the other thing is, we have every classroom set up for bathroom facilities to leave you flexibility. If it's self-contained special ed or pre-K or kindergarten, they require bathrooms in those facilities. So as it stands right now, each room has a bathroom in it. It's a single bathroom. Another cost-saving measure, if needed, and we can do this as an alternate, put all the underground plumbing in as part of the base bid, and then fit out 1 or 2 or whatever you're going to need up front, and then the rest could be as an add alternate to do sometime in the future. Put in the plumbing fixtures, ceramic tile, that type of thing. You can start out with just using those as storage rooms, and then if the need is there, you can make those in the bathrooms quite easily. The rough plumbing will be all set. What else? We have an exit out to the outside here and an exit to the outside there. And we're proposing that classrooms have doors exiting out to the exterior. So we'll have a sidewalk along the sides of the building. These dashed lines are contour lines, so that's indicating the slope of the ground. So you can see there's a bunch of lines here, and if you've been out at the school, you know it drops off the baseball fields. So we are going to have a little retaining wall in this corner because we're kind of clipping that hill to squeeze in the sidewalk. But the sidewalks will generally go around the building. We'll have a little bit of a retaining wall here because, again, it slopes up towards the residential houses over there. And then these 2 paths will tie into, there's a street, a dead-end street down here. That'll tie into that. And the project is 16,540 square feet of new space. And we have a budgeted cost of $7.4 million. Any questions?
Regarding the square footage of each classroom, what is the maximum number of students permitted?
Right now, the maximum will be 25 students. I think over that you would be 80, but for we
No, I mean for that particular classroom, what is the maximum?
If it's a regular classroom, it's 25 students. If it's special ed, it depends on the program. So,
Is that
Is that for fire code?
I think he's
I
asking,
think that's for fire code.
I think he's asking
Oh, for
how
fire.
much, what's the most,
How many
Fire
people
code,
don't-
I think you could, it would be under 50, but I think you could probably get about 45 per classroom. But the state won't allow you to have that
No,
many.
I'm aware of that, I just want to get it adequate.
Any other questions?
Louise, I just was curious, because when you show the toilets, the gang toilets,
Yes.
you have like 8 like circles for 8 sinks. Is there some like relationship between how many like stalls you have and how many sinks you have to have? Do you need 8 sinks in a bathroom? Because to me that just seems like, I don't know if that was like the rule or
Yeah.
if we just do that. I mean, it just seems like a lot of sinks. I just thought that was.
It's schematic at this point, but we've done a calculation, and that's the number of sinks that are needed.
So it's 1 per, is that the code that, I know when you have like
I
an
don't know off the top of
individual.
my head, the code is from 1 to 25 people, you need 1 water closet, and it changes per the number of students in the area, so, I don't know all those numbers, but whatever it is, use the national.
So if you make a bathroom with 8 toilets, you need to have 8 sinks.
No, not
That's
necessarily.
Well, that's my question.
No, no.
So is there code for, so if there's 400 people in this school, and it's 1 to 25, you need 25 toilets, let's say. Do you need 25 sinks to match the 25
It's
toilets?
a different ratio for sinks, it's a different ratio for, and a certain amount of water closets can be urinals for the boys. And these sinks do not correlate to the toilets. Just different ratios. And it's different for men and women.
It looks like more expensive. No, I want less sinks, because it's less connections, less things to do.
Any other questions? Thank you, Lisa. Right, Lisa. Okay. You're up.
Okay. I can have anything on this. Tonight, you have a resolution to be considered, and that resolution is a resolution that determines to put the ballot question on the December 9, 2014 special election. The resolution does a lot of ministerial things, but the guts of the resolution is the explanatory statement and the proposal. And those are the 2 things that would be on the ballot. So let me just walk you through.
Just for the board members, it's, and the public, we're talking F-26, page 27 on your agenda.
So before we go through those, I'll just briefly go through the numbers. So the total project cost is, I'm giving round numbers, is $12.8 million. And that's made up of 2 numbers, the roofs of about 5.4, and the addition of about 7.4. The state, towards that $12.8 million, has given you 2 forms of state aid. You've gotten awarded 2 forms of state aid. You've gotten an award for a $2.2 million grant. It's actually $2,193,000. Plus, you have an award of 40% debt service aid on a portion of the bonds issued for Westmore. So you have two forms of state aid. So getting those 2 forms of state aid is great. It made the question a little bit longer and a little more legalese. So what I've tried to do is in the explanatory statement, make it a little more user-friendly. So if someone didn't have time to read their sample ballot or is not familiar with the question, at least they can read the explanatory statement and get the plain language version, which really just outlines the 2 improvements, what the total project cost is, that you're getting a grant for 2.193, and that the state's going to be providing debt service aid, 40% of a portion of the Westmoreland Elementary School project. I did also put in that explanatory statement and underline because I think it's important for people to know that state funding is only available if the referendum passes. Because very often, the general voting public is under the impression that if they vote no, at least the district will still get 2.2 million from the state, and they can do something with that. You won't get $2.2 million. So I thought that was important to put in there in the plain language section. Now, the proposal is much more legalese, and it's prescribed by statute, the wording. So we've drafted these consistent with what is on ballots, what's been on your ballots before. So you're approving this language to be on the ballot. You're also approving the election to be held, I think it was 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. So that's what this resolution does. Now, your financial advisor, Mary Lyons, had run some numbers for you. Would you like me to walk you through those? Please. And those numbers relate to really the bottom line, the tax impact of this entire project on the voters. Mary, Phoenix Advisors, has run those numbers for 20 and 25 years. You don't need to decide today how long you want to issue bonds for. You can issue bonds for 20 years or 25 years for this project, or any period in between for that matter. But in proceeding forward with your voter education, it's probably wise to have a financial plan. Your financial plan might be, we're going to issue bonds for 20 or 25 years, and the range of tax impact is blank to blank. We could do that. Or you could say, you know what, I think we want to do the 25 years. It reduces the impact, it spreads the project over the many generations, and if it's time to sell the bonds and rates have dropped significantly, you might say, well, we can hit the same tax impact doing a 20-year issue now, so let's do 20 years. So you have that flexibility. Just know that you don't need to decide the term today. So Mary ran some numbers, and I'm going to give you the broad brush of those numbers. So assuming the total project cost and assuming the state aid, the average impact on an average assessed home, the average assessed home is assessed at $324,635. It's the average assessment, not necessarily the value, but the assessment. So for a 20-year issue, that impact is approximately $55 a year. Those same assumptions for a 25-year bond would be about $49 or $50 a year. So there's about a $5 difference, 20 versus the 25. So that assumes the state aid, assumes no new growth. So those are the general numbers of the tax impact, which will be asked about, I'm sure.
Just the question, like if we wanted to pay it off more quickly, or you can always do that?
Well, yes, school bonds in New Jersey are typically sold with a 9-year call, which means bondholders, because you know you pay off a little bit every year, there's serial maturities. Bondholders like to know they're going to get their investment for at least 9 years. So you would have a 9-year non-call period, which is completely typical. Why is being typical good in this market? Because it's attractive to investors. They want to see typical. If you said to me we want to do a 5-year call, we can do it. It's not going to be that attractive to investors, and that will translate directly into higher interest rates. So you want to kind of do what the market's doing. So the market is about a 9-year call. So I would anticipate you would have a 9-year call on these bonds. And your other bonds that were outstanding, we were able to use those call dates and refund them for savings for the board, so that was good. So we would have the same type of call provisions in these bonds.
Please, going back just a little different question. Your earlier statement about the grants from the state, I just want to go over that, make it clear. When we started our process, which was a few months ago, I remember reading a update from the State Department saying that with your roof grants and what you're applying for, this is probably the last year the state is going to give out these grants. And I think you know, we need to share that, because if this goes by us, and we are forced to come back in 3-4 years because of roof leaks or we're overcrowded or whatever it is, we're not gonna get any grants.
Pretty guaranteed you're not gonna get your $2.2 million.
Right.
Be all on the district.
So we're
tax
trying to
base.
take advantage, this board is trying to take advantage of what's available at this time. 5 minutes to 12, it's still available. And we're trying to take advantage of that because that's going to benefit the community long term. So I just want to make that clear so everybody understands.
Yes, there's definitely an expiration to that grant. Any other questions? Jeff?
I know I'd asked this question during our committee meeting, so I just wanted to reiterate it because, again, I don't think I'm remembering the number correctly. The overall difference between a 20 and 25-year bond, over the life of the bond, what is the impact to the taxpayer?
In terms of gross numbers?
In terms of gross numbers, like if we pay over 20 years, we're
Yes.
paying X amount versus 25 years, we're paying X
Okay.
amount.
So let me, and you want to consider state aid in that, right?
Considering state.
Okay, so
Overall
total
taxpayer.
debt service. So I don't want to do the numbers in my head while I'm standing here. Total debt service for 20 years is about $3.9 million. That's principal and interest. Total debt service for 25 years is about 15.7. So what is that? About 1.2? Is that right?
1.2.
So approximately $1.2 million in interest over that time. Let me make sure. Yes. Now, that $1.2 million in interest translates to about $5 per year.
Okay.
So you could be guided by
Yeah,
that.
that's what I had here. Yeah. Yep, I was trying to do some math, but.
I have a question.
Go ahead, David.
Is it possible for us to decide tonight whether we're going to do 20 or 25 years and perhaps add to the referendum language what it's going to cost the taxpayer per month and per year? Again, the way I figure this, based on my math, is the difference between 20 and 25 years is 49 cents a month, based on the numbers here. And I don't know how exact these numbers are, or if there's going to be some variances based on what we get from the state. But is it possible to add the language so the taxpayer knows going in somewhere in bold print that it's going to cost them $4.12 a month, or it's going to cost them $4.57 a month?
Well, I'll tell you this. These numbers were done very conservatively. We've assumed interest rates are going to go up 50 basis points. And we have, in explanatory statements, indicated that the board intends to finance the project over 20 years or 25 years. I have not put a tax impact in, and I'll tell you why. You have to be very careful with the ballot. It's sacrosanct. With respect to your voter education and what you send out to voters, we should make sure they completely understand every aspect of the tax impact and the tax impact. But I would not advise we put an estimated tax impact in the question or the explanatory statement.
Okay, but you do recommend, though, that we do decide one or the other, because you said at some point, right, that you could put like a dash years and dash, like that. I would think that we want to go into this with a plan as opposed to kind of deciding afterwards.
Well, your plan could be, 20 or 25 years. I just want to be careful with the language. I want to be, well, first of all, I'm not opposed to putting it in the explanatory statement the board, expects to finance the project. You could put 20 or 25 years. If you wanted to decide this evening about a potential plan, you could do that. That's up to the board. Go ahead, Louise.
But if something changes between now and when this happens, then those numbers would change. So I wouldn't want to put numbers in.
I wouldn't put the numbers in. If you say in the explanatory statement the board anticipates financing the project over a 20 or 25-year period, I don't think that's.
Well, would you write like 25 years or less? Would you have to write 20 to 25? I mean, I don't know what's going to happen in the marketplace.
We don't know that,
If
right?
this passes and something else happens in the marketplace, if you lock yourself into something, then you're locked in.
Yeah, I don't know, Yeah, I mean, it's an anticipation. We're not saying the board will finance the project for 25 years. I wouldn't advise that. We have put in, just to give voters more information, that this is going to be financed over a longer period of time. That's the intent of that statement. Not to necessarily tell you what the voter what your financial plan is, but to inform them that these bonds are going to be sold over a long period of time.
And you really can't put the tax impact in because everybody's house is assessed at a different value. So you just have to do your average assessed value. You know, afterwards when we know, like when we used to vote on the budget, when we present the budget now that we don't have to vote on, we always tell what the assessed value and what the tax impact is going to be based on what your value is.
Now remember, this is what's in the voting booth, and when you make a determination about what you're going to put in what's on the voting booth, you have to think about whether are they making up their mind in the voting booth, or have they decided before, and how you want to get the information to them. So, I don't know the answer to that. I know my personal answer.
Any other questions? Thank you.
I just wanted to ask Lisa if she would also, while we have the chance to have her here, in case there are any questions on another item that Lisa helped us put together here, and that's item, it's on page 25, it's F25.
I'm going to just briefly say that this is a very complex
Yes,
issue.
it's very complex.
It's an initiative that the SEC has started, and its intention was to enforce actions against underwriters for not doing their jobs when it came to underwriting your type of bonds. When you sell bonds, you have an obligation to annually send in financial and operating information to repositories. The purpose of putting that obligation on you to do is that someone wants to buy your bond in the secondary market. They don't have to search website after website to make a decision as to whether to buy your bond. You go to one repository, look at your audited financial statements, and make a decision whether they want to buy your bond or not. This is all secondary market, not when you sell bonds. And underwriters were not really doing a good job of diligencing whether or not the bonds they were buying from issuers were bonds of an issuer who was in compliance. And in official statements, which are the prospectuses that go out with bonds, many issuers just put a statement in that said, we are in compliance with this continuing disclosure requirement, this filing requirement. Turns out they weren't. In fact, one particular school district, not in New Jersey, time and time again issued bonds, told the underwriter, yeah, we're in compliance. The underwriter didn't check it. They sold their bonds. Well, they were prosecuted by the SEC. Significant financial penalties, lots of bad stuff happened to them. So the SEC decided that they thought this was rampant. And they set forth this initiative to say, issuers, if you think you have an official statement out there with a misleading or possibly incorrect statement, we're going to give you an opportunity to self-report. If you self-report, it's like an amnesty program. We are not going to come after you for money. And then they said to underwriters the same thing. If you underwrote an issue where you think you might have made a mistake, you can self-report, but you have financial penalties. So underwriters hit a ceiling, so they recorded a lot of when they did an oops. And there's a self-reporting deadline for issuers of December 1st. We are advising you to undertake a review of your continuing disclosure statements to see what you said in your official statements and how it lined up with your actual compliance. Your financial advisor, Mary Lyons, is actually already doing it. She's included in the price of her services anyway, so she started it. But what this resolution does is it authorizes the review to go forward. It also says that if, in fact, there are material misstatements, that you would want to participate in this amnesty program. Personally, I don't know that you have those misstatements. We worked pretty hard. I think you would find. I'm not so worried, and personally, I don't think the SEC is looking to go after Fair Lawn Board of Education. But, having said that, you should have the review done, and if we said we weren't late in filing in 2009, and we were, there should be a self-report, and that's, I think, where we should leave it. And I think it's, you are not alone. Every issuer that issued bonds between 2009 and 2014 in New Jersey is doing this review.
And then, so by doing this, that would make us, by doing this and the review and then saying we made that mistake or
Right.
posting it, that would make us compliant.
Well, it wouldn't make you compliant. You are compliant now because you have been filing. It would give you amnesty to any financial
That's why
penalties.
compliance with the amnesty idea.
Yes, you, as part of the order that would come to you in the SEC settlement, you would have to agree to continue to, comply with the order. And there would be some settlement, and I think they're gonna be very generic, broad settlements with the SEC, with all of the issuers that might have had a misstatement. But really, I believe that the SEC was really intending to go after underwriters for not doing their job. And, but we're advising districts to undertake this review.
This is just a point to be made, as we all know, reading the papers, that the state of New Jersey has been downgraded not once but twice because of our financial situation in the state. Fair along with our audits and our papers, do we have, I know I spoke to Moody's the other day, do we have a final rating? Did you see that?
You have a rating from your prior bonds, and I don't remember what it is, and I apologize for that. You have a very
I
good rating.
think at one time we were double A.
It's a double A, maybe.
Double A.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I'm
Yes.
bringing that out as a point.
Well,
to the
because that is a
public.
higher rating.
I want the community, I want the community to
Well,
know
the
that
state
the
of New
district
Jersey.
is being operated very well financially. We're in good standing, we're very healthy, and
Yes,
that is attractive to investors.
yes.
And that equals lower interest rates than we get on loans.
Yes, Fair Loan carries a very good name in the marketplace. We saw that with your past two issues. It sold very well. I think we exceeded our expectations. Joanne had calls with the rating agencies. They were very impressed with the management and the finances of the district. So yes, that was all very good.
It's nice to get out with the reporter sitting in her room.
Any other questions? Lisa, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Could we go to, board comments?
Jeff?
Get my notes up here, my very brief notes. Buildings and Grounds met last week. We had 3 items on our agenda. The first of which had to do with a playground at Ryburn School. Apparently, the Ryburn PTA wants to raise the money for their playground. However, to get this done, there are some obstacles in the way in terms of the rules and regulations they have to follow with the Radburn Association. Please not to be confused with the Radburn PTA. I understand that there's been more conversation since we had met, so I think perhaps Mr. Watson, you could let us all in on what has transpired since, and so we don't become repetitive.
Sure. From the, as Mr. Klein stated, one of the outcomes of the Buildings and Grounds meeting was really that the board was giving me directed to act as the agent to have that conversation with the Radburn Association. So I did that, and I did get a response. Here's the situation. According to the Radburn application process for, in this case, installing the playground, once the application is approved, should it be approved, that you have to break ground or start your construction within 6 months. That's what their process says. I guess it's probably built into their bylaws or whatever, how they work that. The challenge that Radburn School and PTA is facing is that they don't have the money. That's number one. They're going to get the money by fundraising. And it seems to be that the The issue is that they don't want to go out and start fundraising if they don't have any guarantee that once they get the money, they can put it into this playground. The other little caveat is that with the Radburn Association, the landowner has to make the application. So the landowner is the Board of Ed. But the Board of Ed is not funding the project. So we have to sit and figure out how do we do that to help the PTA, because they, like most boards, their belief is that they can't commit future Radburn Association boards, I guess that's the problem, to well, we'll give you 2 years, we'll approve your application now. When you have the money in a year and a half or 2 years, you can go ahead and do that. So they can't commit future boards. It has to start in 6 months. The application has got to be filed by the landowner, the Board of Ed, and we're not financing the project at this time. So you can see it's a little bit of a mess.
Yes.
So we're going to try to work through that. I'll get back, we'll sit with the board, and we'll try to make some recommendations on what we think we can do to help out.
Thank you.
Okay?
The other part was the referendum. Obviously not going to repeat that unless, of course, you'd like me to. Yes. Okay. The final part of our agenda was in response to a request to look into air conditioning at the high school for the auditorium and the B gym. The numbers we received from our architects, respectively, were give or take $500,000 for each. It was our hope, when looking into it, I know, was to perhaps be able to use one unit because they are directly adjacent to one another, to have one unit do both areas. However, the spaces are too large, and that is not feasible or reasonable to complete both at one time. So I just wanted to report this to the board, let you know that it's about $500,000 per. It seemed, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that the conversation leaned heavily towards the auditorium, to begin to use that, but to only do it through saving through capital funds, similarly to what we did with the high school athletic field. Did I cover that correctly?
You did.
Didn't take any notes.
Nope, you're right on.
That was accurate.
Thank you. So I know that we also, okay, I think we also wanted to maybe bring the conversation to the board in terms of which one we would want to save for, or whether or not we would want to do that at all. So it's out there if anyone wants to talk about it, or if you want to go with our recommendation to the board, that's great too. We are recommending, go ahead.
I think we mentioned that since we have a 5-year plan, these two projects could be carried on the 5-year plan, because if they're not on the 5-year plan, you can't suddenly spend money on them. They've got to be carried on the 5-year plan. And they can be bumped to year 2, 3, 4, or 5, but you got to carry it on the 5-year plan to consider it further. But we've got numbers that it's going to have to be a later project.
Right. I think that we're looking for the board's support in doing that. You know, I guess is that a thumbs up, thumbs down thing, or I guess I look to our leadership.
I think we have to limit it formally.
Okay. Well, I guess that'll have to be done, and we'll have to go from there. Oh, and there was one other thing, if we're done with the air conditioning part. I just wanted to thank Joanne, thank our BA for looking into something for me when I had asked publicly about putting advertisements on some of our vehicles to help raise money. I appreciate her diligence and hard work. It's unfortunate that we found, or she found, rather, that it is certainly not a reasonable thing for us to do. As a matter of fact, one of the companies that still has a website doesn't even do anything. And from what she's heard, also from all of her colleagues with whom she's spoken, that it is certainly not worth the money. There's really nothing in it for us. I know that part of our conversation turned towards other types of advertisements, so this is just an ongoing conversation in our combined effort to seek revenue for our budget and for our programs. Okay?
Okay.
Back to you, Ms. Fox.
Elise?
We had a student dialogue meeting this evening, and little pamphlets came around, they had their club there. Again, what another amazing group of students we have at Dialogue. We have a couple of them here right now. Our old student and our new student. And so it's gonna come together like every month, or you're gonna give it up. You can't.
I can't give it up.
So, but I just
Really nice to know.
you know, as amazing as I find that that committee to be, I just want to say that looking at this pamphlet and seeing, you know, some of the clubs that we have, it's just amazing to me that just a few years ago there were people that wanted to get rid of all of the clubs at the high school when the budget, there was like so many issues, whatever, and we actually learned tonight that they're adding 7 more clubs. And if high school is nothing but all the experiences that you take away from it to make you the person that you are, I just find this to be absolutely incredible. So, I don't know if anybody in the audience wants to do that, but. Yeah.
Thanks, Elise. Does anybody have anything, because I have a couple of things, so I wanted to go last so that we can move on to the presentation that Bruce has to make. First thing, I just wanted to make everyone aware that the Candidates Night Forum is on Thursday, October 23rd, but there has been a change in the venue. It is not being held at the municipal building. It is going to be held at the Fairlawn Community Center, and it starts at 8 o'clock, and it's sponsored by the League of Women Voters and our very own PTA Council in Fairlawn. I encourage everybody to come out and just remember that it is at the community center and not at the borough hall. I also would like to make mention of the new agenda that we all had cause to get the other day and study for tonight's meeting. I just wanted to publicly thank Joanne and Sandy for their hard work in getting this together. I know it's going to, in the long run, make your job a lot easier, because as people filter in, it's going to fall right in the place that it should fall in. And it's also educational for us, because we can see if it falls under finance, personnel. I think it's a win-win, and I just wanted to thank you. It looks really good. I also would like to bring the board up to date. There's a motion on the agenda tonight that came out of an athletic committee meeting that we had. We met with Mr. Marcella, Bruce, the athletic committee, and Frank Guadagnino, who's our assistant principal at the high school, for a middle school wrestling program. It's going to be totally volunteer at no cost to the board, which you saw. Bruce was just checking about some insurances to make sure that our students would be covered, which he did, which is why it appears on the agenda, and it is a total no cost to the board. I wanted to publicly thank Frank for volunteering to get this program started. I know that his passion is wrestling, and I think it's going to be a great thing for the district. So I'm hoping that the board will pass it when it comes time. Special Education Committee meeting was last night, and we had our annual presentation on the extended school year. And I just wanted to tell the board that extended school year was large this year, the largest population, and a big percentage of that extended school year was high school students, which the staff was very, very encouraged about. We saw presentations from 4 of our students that gave a presentation to everyone that was here, and I'm sure that they knew maybe their teacher and Dr. Bean, but didn't know anyone else in the room. And these 4 young students gave a presentation on what extended school year, what they learned and whatnot, and it was absolutely heartwarming. I'm wearing a button, actual piece of jewelry that was made by Angelica Romano, who gave a presentation last night about her trip to Hoboken. And they took the train from Radburn and went to Hoboken, and then from Hoboken they went and ate at you know, an area in Hoboken. She gave a whole presentation about that, and then she presented me with a pin, which just, I told her I would wear it tonight, and I probably will wear it a lot. It was very special to me, and I wanted to publicly thank her for her sweetness. We also had a presentation on the great falls of Patterson by one of our students. They had gone to the falls, and he told, I actually learned some things about Alexander Hamilton that I did not know. He was very informative, and I wanted to thank him also. And the other one was the visit to the public library, which she was very happy about. And they frequent the public library a lot during the extended school year, and it helps them with their reading, you know, getting out and getting books and preparing for the next school year. And the other presentation was about the angst that the one girl felt when her parents informed her that she was going to be attending an extended school year. She said she was very, very upset. And by the second week, she realized that her summer reading and her math program was going to be completed during an extended school year. So she was going to be all prepared to start school again in September, which calmed her fears, and she no longer was in tears, and she was very happy. So I just wanted to thank Dr. Beam. I did thank everyone there on behalf of the board for what you do for our special needs children. It warms my heart every single time. And the passion and the love that our professional staff has for these children is just beaming, overwhelming, and it's one of the best meetings. And I was very moved, as I always am. And we have a great special ed program, and the work that goes into that extended school year is an all year round job. Kathy Marinello, Mike Grubman, and not Stacy, Sherry Mark, I know her daughter, work tirelessly, and they cross their T's and dot their I's. There's just so many things that could go on in special education with the medication, the busing. It's remarkable how they put it down, and it's like clockwork every year. And I just wanted to publicly thank the three of them for all of their hard work and dedication. It's been like 17 years, some of them have been together doing this, and it's wonderful. And that's all I have. I can turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you. Tonight, October meeting is always a pretty busy agenda. We have a number of mandated items that we have to publicly report on. So that's what I'm going to accomplish tonight, so we fulfill our responsibilities. The agenda in front of you, we're going to start off talking about the SOA. I'll explain what that is. We're going to turn to the district focus, comments on our emergency and crisis management, plans, anti-bullying law, the week of respect. We'll say some words about that. The HIP investigations report, the annual school violence awareness week, and the EDVRS state report, the alternate proficiency assessment, public reporting of the APA, that's changing. And then there'll be some more comments from my seat. I have comments, a lot of comments about the district, etc. So let's start with the SOA. Now, the SOA is an acronym for Statement of Assurance. Briefly, I'll explain that right now the code reads that every public school in the state of New Jersey gets state monitored on-site and desk audit both every 3 years. It is under review. Keep your fingers crossed. They may push that out to every 5 years, which would be very nice. However, in the meantime, between the visits, each district has to survey itself and complete and submit this statement of assurance, which is answering and rating ourselves. Do we do this? Do we not do this? Where are you on it, etc. On a number of questions, and submit it to the state after the board approves it, which is on the agenda tonight for their approval for filing. So the state can look at us without having to do a full NJS, New Jersey CUSAC audit. There's so many acronyms, you can go crazy. So, through the use of the document, the district will be made aware of possible deficiencies as you're looking at yourself. If they were to come in tomorrow, are you ready? And that's what the document does. So, the board members received a copy of the SOA. There is some examples on the back table, I believe, of the SOA. So let me briefly touch on it so we can fulfill our responsibility in the public. First of all, there are 5 areas in the SOA. They are instruction and program, fiscal management, governance, personnel, and operations. And just to go through this, I'll briefly go through it, and if you have any questions, I can answer them. That'll probably be a little more of a direction. In the very beginning, when you start going through the instruction, you have a number of questions regarding the approval and adoption of revised and new curriculum and alignment of curriculum. So they're all laid out in this document. They're dated, when the board reviewed it, when we approved it, so it's very carefully done. Natalie kind of oversees that area of instruction and fills out the report. We look at ourselves, we answer questions about our alignment to the New Jersey core curriculum content standards, to the new Common Core standards, where are you, what are you doing, etc. We tell them, yes, we're on target. So we have to answer all of that for the State Department. The next area in the budget, which falls under Joanne's auspices, is fiscal management. And in this document, we also labeled down the answer to the question. You need to put in a number 1 for yes if you do it, or if you succeeded at that fully. If you're partially complete, you have to put a 0. And if you didn't do it at all, you have to put a 0 in. So they only have those 2 numbers that they're using, 1 and 0. Under fiscal management, there's a couple of things that we have to attest to. One is what Mr. Mancinelli just got done referring to, and that is, do you follow the guidelines of the long-term fiscal plan and long-term building plan, as well as construction plan, as well as your fiscal plan? So are you looking at both of them? Are you putting all the projects in those plans ahead of time, and are you working on that? So, that's something by code. This is all refers to various code. Other things in the fiscal area includes submits initial application, revision, final reports of all types of reports. Are they on time? Do you finish them? Do you return the money to the state or the federal government? Should you have any? Do you follow all the guidelines? Do you pay people properly? Do you document it properly? Etc. It's not that exciting to lay people, so I'm really just trying to share some highlights here. Let's see, some of the other areas under the finance, purchasing, very important. Is every purchase made in this district approved by the purchasing agent? Who is that? Joanne Wilson. So she has got to approve every purchase. I can approve it, but that doesn't mean it's going out to your own superintendent. It's got to be, final approval goes through the official purchasing agent of the district. So we have that in the finance. Let's see, what else is there? The monthly board secretary's reports, are they approved or reviewed by the board? The monthly school treasurer's report, etc. Yes, they are. There's a 60-day window. Do you conduct a public hearing on a proposed budget? And do you do it at the right moment, the right time, within the right days of guidance, etc., etc.? We always do. So yes, we answer all of those. Yes, 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 we do all of these things. The next area is personnel, which falls under the auspices of Mrs. Benagia. A lot of personnel issues with confirming new employees. Are you hiring? Who are you hiring? Are they normal hires? Are they alternate route? Are they emergent hires? If it's emergent, are you following all of the guidelines before you hire that emergent individual? And that's a tricky area that a lot of districts get in trouble for. We don't, because Lisa is like a hawk on this, so she watches it very carefully. Credentials, certifications. Do we have the right teacher with the right certification, teaching the right discipline? You'd be surprised how many districts don't do that. We do. Every one of our teachers, we have reports. There's equal rights, civil rights. There's all kinds of reports that fall under the personnel. One of the largest areas we cover is operations. And operations goes from, what I'm doing tonight. Did you make your public presentation on the EVVRS, which I'm doing? Did you have your discussion of your SOA in the public, which I'm doing tonight? So that's all in the operations, which we have put on the agenda tonight. Those other items, policy comes under operations and looks at, are you following, for instance, here's a good one. Do you satisfy all requirements of the Gun-Free Schools Act? Well, the answer is absolutely we do. Of course we do. And we're on that. Provide safety and protection for the students. Do you have a signed, executed MOA, memorandum of agreement, with the superintendent, the county prosecutor, and the police chief in town, which summarizes the cooperation between the three and what we will share with each other on every single day, anything that happens in the district, anything that happens in the community. The police chief has an obligation to inform me, I have an obligation to inform him, and that's why we have a good working relationship. County prosecutor overlooks all of that, makes sure we're doing our job for safety and security. And do we follow all the other curricular and policy items set out by the State Department? Like, do you talk about tobacco, the use of tobacco and alcohol in your health program? The answer is yes. How do you support students? We have 2 SACs. Great, then you get an A for that because you have a SAC, and so forth. The last item is governance, and that's the board. All right, that is the board, and that talks all about policy. And I think we passed that quite well. This board, and I know we kid around a lot, all of us, the policy, but it is critical that a school district maintains and stays on top of their board policies, because the policy, is the Bible of the district. It's the book of the truth. It's whatever you want to call it. But we operate. Those policies give the administration of this district direction and expectation on how to run the schools, how to operate. What's our responsibility in those policies to students, to staff members, all employees, bus drivers, to the community, to the parents, to developing a school compact at the elementary school between our principal and the PTO, or the principal and the PTA. So all of that gets done through governance. And you do that, and you do it well. Now, let me show you, I'll answer any questions. Let me show you the summary page, because I have to explain it. In the last 3 times, I believe this came out in, 2011 we started this. In the last 3 SOAs, we were able to receive, and here's the summary page, which will be electronically transmitted to the State Department tomorrow, or Monday, if I can get to it tomorrow, but not Monday. But here's your areas: instruction, program, fiscal management, governance, personnel. And we graded ourselves. There's so many sections. It has had 4 sections, which was a score of yes, this had 10. So if you look over here, you can easily see this had a total of 5, but we only had 4 yeses, so our score is 80%. Now, it's the first time. In the preceding 3 SOAs that we've submitted, we had 100, 100, 100, 100, and 100. So, and by the way, 80 is passing, but it's not 100. So why do we have 80 this time? Well, let me show you why. Natalie and I sat with this memo just the other day, and we both started scratching our heads. But you really shouldn't be too surprised. This came out, as you can see, early October, which says October 2. That means I received it actually about October 4. And what it states on here is the SOA, CUSAC SOA, new instructions, and it says clearly, this is to clarify the requirements of the aligned curricula as required by the New Jersey Administrative Code, blah, blah, blah. Inclusion of interdisciplinary connections through K-12, well, we have that. Integration of 21st century themes and skills, well, we have those. Development, review, and enhancement of interdisciplinary connections, supportive curricula, instructional tools for helping students acquire required knowledge and skills. And these tools are at a minimum of, what are they? Pacing guides, list of core instructional materials, benchmark and modifications for special education students, ELL students. Okay. What it's telling you is, we have all of this. This is the first time districts are being told it has to be in your curriculum. It's part of your, so if you go up and call it the curriculum for social studies, we have some of these science we've built in already in our science curriculum. We've built in the materials. That part's in there. Is a pacing guide in there? Maybe it is, maybe it's not. So with all of the curriculum, we could not honestly say all of this is in there. We can't, the two of us, we couldn't come up and say, yeah, I guarantee it's in there. Well, down here, in this paragraph, for those districts that have, for the SOA instruction and program indicator number 3, which is this, full compliance is achieved by meeting the above listed requirements and by having board adopted curricula that are aligned to the current standards. When you enter a district responsive one for this indicator, you are ensuring, you, guess who you is? Who's you? Superintendent. You are ensuring that your curriculum meets all of these requirements. And then it goes on and warns. If you've already submitted your SOA, go back and look at number 3. You may want to redo that. So they're putting you on notice. I can't sign it. So what we did, if you look at the SOA and you go to number 3, in the comment section, I said that at this particular point in time, I cannot answer a yes, but we are checking and we will fulfill it, and if for future time we'll submit it fully. But this is some work for me. I wanted to explain that because somebody might say, oh, you're not 100%. Because, somebody's going to tease me, I'm not 100%. So let me go ahead. Does anybody have any questions so far on all of this? Okay. So let's go on. Next. The next thing you're going to see, we're going to talk about later on the agenda is the district focus. The district focus is this huge book that we put together each year. I sent home a copy. There are 2 demo copies in the back. Anybody wants one, we'll copy it for you once we print them all out. Just give me your name, we'll get you one. They're not those are just demo copies right now. But the district focus is you can call it a district academic strategy plan. I mean, that's what this really is for us. So in that district focus, we have the adopted mission statement of the district overarching goals, and there are 2, and every other goal is written under those 2 umbrella goals. We have our core beliefs. We have our core components of school performance. We have professional development, core values and commitments. The superintendent board district goals, which is that big thing. The building goals and achievements, so we have to build the individual building goals. We've done a number of grade level goals across each of our elementary for continuity. We also have achievements of last year's goals, where the saying, here we succeeded in these goals, no, we fell short in these goals, so we're going to continue and go forward. We explain all of that. We have an organizational chart and the assignment plan for certified and non-certified nurses. Everything in this document is requested by the State Department. So we put it in one publication called the District Focus. And we'll get into some more of that in a second. Next, emergency crises plans. Uniform state memorandum, I explained that. That is the MOA that the police chief and I and the county prosecutor signed. I told you we fulfilled that. We just delivered our fully executed copy to the police chief on Monday. So we're done. We did that. We also utilized the federal NCLB Safe Schools Act to help us write our plans. We refer to the New Jersey Security Safety Plan Guide to help us write our crisis security plans in this district. And the plans look like this. Let me explain something that's happened. Going back, I forget the date. I think I wrote it down over there. But it's about 4 years now, 3 or 4 years. The state had decided, given the violence that was taking place in schools around the country, that we used to run 2 fire drills a month. And they said, we're going to take 1 fire drill out, we're going to put in a security drill. And you're going to run a security drill once a month in every school building throughout the state of New Jersey And you're also going to fulfill some obligations or requirements, and that is that there must be 2 active shooter drills. Now, it's a pretty scary thing. We read about it, you pray that it never happens in your school district, and you pray that it doesn't happen anywhere, but you really, every day you wake up and we have all these wonderful children coming to the schools, and the worst they could be is because of deranged individual walking in with a gun or a knife or a sword or a bomb or something. So you have to practice that. You have to say, what do you do if there is an internal threat, dangerous, a shooter, a person who's out of control? What do? So we practice those drills. It's also, you have drills if there's an external threat. How do you lock down your facility if there's an external threat? You have 2 evacuation drills you must do. We have to fulfill 2 bomb threats and 2 total lockdowns a year. Then you can fill in with some other drills, such as a shelter in place, or reverse evacuation, or evacuation to a relocation site, which every one of our schools will do during the year. For instance, the high school will relocate to Sasso Field. Radburn relocates down to the Radburn Association. So you have to do all this. So we take all of this very serious. This is important. Matter of fact, when we first started these, some people would be talking and, no, absolutely not. You have to know where to lock in. Everybody that works here understands what a lockdown drill is. I have personally instructed everybody multiple times. We've had meetings. When we run a drill, I have the administration on some of the drills proctor the hallways, we bang on doors. We want them to come and answer first. They will come, what are you doing? They don't come and answer it, So we've worked up to that, and all the schools are the same. We have actually had our cooperation from our police department, who I can't say enough about. They're wonderful to us. And they come in and they actually run simulated, drills in the building going after live shooters. We have an active shooter drill, and the police will come in the building. We'll give them the buildings over the summer. They'll run drills. They'll get to know our buildings. So we're very active about safety and security. There is a district plan. Every principal has submitted to Pat, my secretary Pat, and we have a big spreadsheet. So given any month, we know what school is going to run what security drill on what day. Now, nobody else knows that, but I have it, and I have to give that to the county because they may pop in unannounced and they want to see us in action, which they've already done. So that's why we call it a district plan at that point. What else? Instruction and a week of respect. Each year, the first full week of October, by legislative action, is deemed a week of respect. And there are certain things that we have to do. I'll talk a little more about it from my chair, but we recognize that week. All the principals go out with the teachers. There's things going on in the classrooms or the buildings, celebrating Week of Respect. School districts must observe the week by providing age-appropriate instruction focusing on preventing HIV. HIV, as you know, is harassment, intimidation, and bullying. I'm going to show you a slide on that. Throughout the school year, the school district must provide ongoing age-appropriate instruction in preventing the HIV according to the core content curriculum. So we have all that. We have programs. We run training sessions for teachers, for students, for our anti-bullying specialists, for administrators, for contractors. We're educating everybody. Now, what I have to share with you is the definition of harassment, intimidation, or bullying. This is the legal definition. I do this twice a year because I have to report twice a year by statute. And it means, HIV means any gesture, any written, verbal, or physical act, or any electronic communication, whether it be a single incident, that was one of the new things, a new word, or a series of incidents that is reasonably perceived as being motivated either by an actual or perceived characteristic such as race, color, religion, ancestry, national origin, gender, sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression. And there's one that's missing on that. It's called power and control. which is an additional characteristic which this board, by board policy, has approved. It's not mandated by the law, but it's mandated by fair law. Power and control. What's power and control? Give me your phone. I want your phone. You can't have your phone back. I got your phone. I want to use, that's power and control. Or by any other distinguishing character that takes place on school property, at any school-sponsored function, on a school bus, or off school grounds as provided for in section 16, you can read your second. That substantially disrupts or interferes with the orderly operation of the school or the rights of other students, and, that's the word, and, a reasonable person should know under the circumstances will have the effect of physically or emotionally harming a student or damaging the student's property or placing a student in reasonable fear of physical or emotional harm to his person or damage to his property, and has the effect of insulting or demeaning any student or group of students, is all encompassing, or creates a hostile educational environment for the student by interfering with the student's education or by severely or pervasively causing physical or emotional harm to the student. That is the definition of HIV. So, the job of the administration, working with what we have as our EBS or our anti-bullying specialist, when it is reported to us and deemed an allegation of bullying, harassment, or intimidation, we must investigate. There's guidelines. We have to investigate. We then have to generate a finding. That finding goes to this Board of Ed after I approve it, or I change it, or I modify it after they submit it to me. I bring it to the board, as if we're going to do tonight. We'll go into closed session. I will review the reports that I have on the agenda for tonight. The board will either agree with the superintendent, they'll modify my finding, or they'll disagree. We will come back in open session, and we will vote on that motion to file. From that time on, the administration gets back the answer. We generate letters to the parents of our students with those findings. Your child has been found to have been involved in any bullying situation or harassment situation, or the victim of one of them. So we have to do that. So let me show you, this is mapped out. Now don't laugh at this. I'm telling you that. You cannot laugh. But this is the bullying roadmap. And this is it. It's the best I can do on one sheet of paper. But I want to show you how thorough this is. Starting with the red starts. So we have an incident reported to a principal. It can come from a parent, it can come from a student, it can come from a teacher, another administrator. And it can come from anywhere, off school grounds, on school grounds, but the complaint and then the allegation is passed on. The principal receives that and said, oh my goodness, I have an allegation of bullying, harassment, or intimidation. I have to investigate. If that is determination, immediately calls in the ABS, the anti-bullying specialist, and hands that case to the anti-bullying specialist, not the principal, to start the investigation. If this complaint comes in, and the complaint clearly is a code of conduct, and it's not HIV, it's not harassment, it's not clearly he's bullying me, she's bullying me, or etc., then that it's handled right away, and it ends. Yellow means it ends right away. Principal determines, we issue a proper code of conduct discipline, and we're over. However, if it is an allegation of HIV, it starts from the principal. The principal contacts the parents, the guardians, confirms with a fair law letter. If HIV gives the specialist, that's the ABA specialist, the principal requests claimant or witness to put in writing. We get no witnesses or the person reporting. It has to go in writing at that point. Specialist begins the investigation. The investigation has to be completed within 10 days. From there, the specialist submits the findings to the principal. The principal puts a report together. The principal completes the report, sends the report within 2 school days of it being given to the principal. 2 school days, that report comes down to superintendent. review the report, we log it in, we look at it, I either modify it, I call them, I have a meeting, I'll agree, I'll disagree with their findings, we'll talk about it, get the specialists involved, teachers involved, parents involved, whatever we need. That will go down to, the report goes to the next Board of Education meeting, very next meeting that's scheduled. So today we have a couple. If the Board of Ed agrees with the superintendent, votes on it, it comes down here, the report, the letter's sent out, goes back to the principal. This is all done by the State Department outlined how we have to follow this. So it goes back, there's a form that we have to fill out, the letter gets sent out to the parents. Now, what happens when the parent receives the letter? I'll give you hypothetical. I'm a parent in Fair Lawn, and I have a 3rd grade little girl going to one of our schools, and I get a letter saying that your little girl is going to be bullying this other person. Now, the parent is not going to want their little 3rd grader to be labeled a bully. So they have some rights. They can then appeal that finding to the Board of Ed, and they have a number of appeals going on where they can ask for a meeting with the board. And we've had some of those. That goes through me. I can set up a meeting with the party who's appealing and the Board of Education. It's closed. It's private. They come in. We talk about what went on. We'll have the witnesses on our side, which would be the ABS, the principal, the teachers, etc. They'll explain the process, what they found, what the conversation was. The parents are going to have a right to get up and give their side of the story or what they think happened, etc., to defend. They then get a determination following that, not that evening. They'll get a determination within 10 school days. If they're not happy with that determination, the Board of Ed decision then can be appealed to the Commissioner of Ed within 90 days. If they're not happy with the Commissioner, they can go to the Division of Civil Rights. They have 180 days to appeal that decision. That's quite a roadmap of HIB. It's also very difficult. There's nothing easy about this to make sure that you fulfill all these obligations. So I need to share that with you. Next, this is the summary page on the EVVRS, which is the electronic violence and vandalism report. And as you can see, the categories are violence, vandalism, weapons, and substance abuse. Now, and then HIB. Let me say a few things. First of all, every October I report the second half of the previous school year. And then in March, April timeframe, I report the first half of this school year. So you do this twice a year. Violence, the definition, and there's a host of pages behind this one page that defines all of this. Violence can be anything from, pulling on my necktie down the hall, punching, it's not where, what you think of violence. Or it could be something that's really terrible, but most of the time it's fighting or pushing or something. So they have incidents. Vandalism is vandalism, destroying weapons. Weapons, thank goodness, we have none. Substance abuse, we did have one, and that means that is a confirmed substance abuse on the particular person that we work together with the police, and that there is some corrective action that has to be taken for that young person. And then there's the HIV. Now, here we have 8 cases reported to the State Department for the period of January 2014 to June. And that's the second half of the year. Why is there 8? Well, there was about 26 allegations, but 8 get reported because they were found to be HIV. Those others were not HIV. Now, it's really 9 because the one we found was power and control, which was found to be true, but you don't report it to the state. So it's really 9, but we had 8. These are numbers. Oh, by the way, violence, we have 11. And you can see it's broken down. Fair Lawn High School, Mills, Forest, by all the schools, you can go across and you can see. Westmoreland had nothing, so you can see, hopefully, the younger grades are a little easier, the kids are not, involved in this. If they get older, they'll get involved more in the violence. but these numbers are extremely low. So this is a very good report. This is really a very good report. I mean, I'd like to have walls in the roof, but that's, you know, that's not. But these are very good reports. Anybody have any questions on this?
Tell the state to spell that.
Yeah, I know, I see. You know, that's why I'm using their form. Okay. So this summarizes what I just shared with you. During the week of October, next week is the annual School Violence Awareness Week. I'm going to comment on that when I sit down a little bit. And then you have what I just said up top, and there the categories and numbers report. So, but then behind, the pages behind, all of that is broken down by incident category, by school, incident by location. So how many of these happen? Violence. Where did they happen? In the cafeteria, on the playground. So we can analyze what do we need, and we have done that. These numbers substantially have gone down because of this. Because of this. And we're watching victim information, offender information, and the action taken when they, you know, suspended, when did they get detention, did they get counseling, where the parents called in, you know, they have to come in, et cetera, et cetera. All of that's reported to the state. Also reported under that same electronic filing is we have to document the trainings that we do in this district. Policy training, not just with the board, but with administration, teachers, faculty training, affirmative action, cyberbullying, readings and skits, we do some of that. The character education programs that we run, we have to identify and explain what they are, what we do. Suicide awareness is a big one, that's mandated. All of this is mandated. We report it all, we do it all year long, and we report it. Programs, diversity day activities, guest speakers, peer social norms, relationship, book readings, etc. What programs are you running to identify, you know, what is the difference between respect and non-respect? Or anything that falls under the there, so you have to submit all of that by program and by name. I also have to share with the public that as a board support for the week of 2020, we have a number of board policies that support respect, that support, you know, nonviolence, that support classroom management and protective actions. So these up here are just a sampling, but you start with what I believe is one of the most effective policies we have, and that is the civility policy. That was, we actually wrote that together a number of years ago. And that's one of the best policies we can do. All the principals have them. Joyce has it. We all have it. If you are dealing with a person, mostly adults, that are totally disrespectful or that are out of control, you just pull out of your desk the civility policy and be handed to us. You got to read this, and it lays out all the expectations. And if not, you're gone. You're out. The meeting stops. Police are called. Whatever we have to do. That's been very helpful to us. Fortunately, we don't use it too often, but what we have to, it was very helpful. Thank you to the board. And then the board has all of the discipline policies, substance abuse, disruptive students. The state wants to know, is your board, Mr. Watson, on top of these policies? And the answer is yes, and you are, and we're very good at it. Okay. The last part of this presentation I have to give you is the APA presentation. This has to do with our special education students that do not sit for the New Jersey HASP or the HESPA, but the New Jersey HESPA, which are the state assessments. So there's another assessment that we give these students, and these students are all identified early on. There is a percentage of students that we're allowed to go up to at a maximum. We have more, but they don't let us use that, so those students go into the NJAS for the HESPA, and you know, the poor kids go in and they're supposed to be taking the test, and they can't take the test, they can't handle it, but the state makes them take the test, and that's not good. So they experience that. So those students were identified. Here's our list from last year. So you can see by grade, and then in district, out of district. So we have a total of 49 students in this district that sat for the APA, the alternate proficiency, and in district, there were 39. Out of district, there are 10. That's a challenge. That's a challenge for Joyce, a challenge for Michelle, a challenge for our child study team, because many of the schools that these students go to are not really looking at the same curriculum that we would do. So sometimes we have to go give those tests. because they're not prepared to give those tests. That makes it even more difficult for these children. So we have 49, you can see the breakout. So what's the outcome? Under language arts, the APA performance, in grade 3, there were 2 students in the district that sat, 4 total students, I'm sorry, in or out, 2 students that sat, both were proficient. In the 4th grade, 5, 3, 1 was advanced, 1 was partial. So you can track across for yourself. Obviously down here, we have in the 11th grade, we had 7, 0, 0, and 7. So students struggle with this, and they're taking this test because they can't sit for the normal New Jersey S. So you can see the strain and the stress on these young people going through this. Now, what's happening is there's a massive change. Like we're moving from New Jersey S and HESPA to PARC testing, we're moving from the special ed APA to DLMs. DLMs is Dynamic Learning Maps. It's it's very similar to PARC. It's their version of the APA, but we're now trying, we're in the process of trying to get everybody on board, trying to get the material. We still don't have all the materials for the state, and yet we're going to be testing this year. So, there are challenges. This is the outcome for the mathematics grid. You can see that. Again, we're doing same 3rd graders. They were here. They were both proficient here. This was pretty similar. 7th grade, you can still see they didn't. Junior year, they did not make proficiency. 8th grades, 4, 1, and 3. 1 student left on a medical emergency, so there was no score in the 5th grade. This is in the science APA 4th, 8th, and 11th. That's the grades you tested in. And you can see the outcomes there. So I have to share this in a public meeting. Why? I don't know. Doesn't make sense why I have to do this. Types of testing and accommodations. Students, many of the students in the APA have accommodations. And some of the accommodations I have to share with you are up on the board. Setting accommodations, I've given you an example. We put them in smaller groups. Scheduling accommodations, we give them additional time. Material modifications, there's a large print as an example of one. Testing procedure modifications, we read, the teacher can read or clarify the test questions, which by the way, in PARC, we can't do that. PARC testing, they don't let us do that. What? That's gone. That's gone, it's gone away, which is another thing I don't understand. Number of children with disabilities participating in regular assessments. Now this goes to New Jersey S or HESPA. Here's the number of students. Remember, these are grades 3 to 12 now. So you have number of students with an IEP. There were 767 last year. Total with accommodations out of 767, 639. And you can see the numbers across who had a setting accommodation, a scheduling accommodation, testing, total procedure, etc. 504 students is the total number, and you can see the number broken out by accommodation. Our child study teams are fantastic. They do the job all the time. They work with these children, they work with the parents together, and they come up with these accommodations in their IEPs, so those children can also taste success. And that's what it's all about. And that's it. Now, I do have some comments from the table. So I'm going to continue. I'll go through these. I know you just love it. All right, first of all, on the agenda, number S7 is the, just identifying quickly, it's the motion that I'm asking the board to approve on the statement of assurance on the SOA, which I spoke to you about just a few minutes ago at the board. Number S5 is the district focus, which the board will vote on to approve, hopefully. And trying to be green, as I said, we have a few copies for anybody to look at, but if you really want one, you can just put your order in and we'll print one out as we go forward. Well, we should have it printed like 2 weeks into a manual book form. Very nice. It's the cover. This is this year's cover, just to show you. By the way, when we get audited by the state, we get a lot of praise for that document as much as others. They really like it. Okay, also emergency and crises management plans that are submitted. There is a plan housed in every school principal's office. I also have all of those plans in my office, and if you want to see them, you're more than welcome. Anybody come in, you can read through them. But those plans are put together with the input of staff, with the input of parents, with the input of the police department, the fire department, the Office of Emergency Management. They come in, they will actually walk the building, they will give us advice on how to run a security drill. We'll write that procedure in the plan. We have items in the plan that address HIV, HIV bullying, and how to go about investigating, so they're complete plans. Violence and vandalism report, as I presented, it is on for a vote. That's item S6. I shared with you the anti-bullying law. Making sure if you have one of this. I'd like to now go on a couple of other comments and away from that presentation. First, let me read this. Join the Fair Lawn High School Marching Band at Sasso Field for fanfare in Fair Lawn on October 19th. That's this Sunday, 1 p.m. This is a U.S. Bands Marching Band competition. We're hosting it featuring the award-winning Fair Lawn High School Marching Band and 5 other local high school bands. Enjoy great food from Longhorn Steakhouse, Anthony's Coal-Fired Pizza, Wendy's, and much more. If you've never seen a marching band competition, you will be amazed at the work that goes into putting together these band's performances. So please spread the word, and if you can make it, I'm sure they would appreciate your attendance. Now, there's an addendum. I spoke to the HIV process. That is your addendum. Then there's an addendum 1. The addendum 1 has the technician that Joanne and her team has put together to fulfill a spot that's been open for quite some time. We finally found someone to fit our criteria. That's on there. And there's also some 6 periods, which we refer to as extra instructional time. Those 6 periods were worked out between 8 principals, Natalie and myself, specifically for a family model program in the middle school, and to be able to give the proper instruction to all the core areas. We sat down, I called Joyce Beeman to get her expertise. Joyce helped us with this. We rescheduled it together, and what it did, it is saving us from sending out a few students out of district. So we're able to manage that in district, and very proud of it. Joyce, thank you. Without your input, that would not have happened, and obviously the principal as well. Very good collaboration, and I appreciate that. I'm sure the board does too, by keeping students in district. You know, on the agenda, item F26, that's Finance 26, there is a resolution for the ballot, which the attorney spoke to. Remember, when we get to that confusing resolution, you did get a definition. Okay, I'm not going to attempt it. So. Fair Lawn High School 8th grade parents orientation. Board members, if you can find the time, please try to attend. This is November 12th, 7 p.m. It starts in the auditorium. It's a Wednesday evening. It is one of the most interesting evenings you will spend. The high school does a great job. Thank you, Mr. Marcella and your team. And the students who volunteer as guides that night are wonderful. And we walk everybody around, the parents, we rotate them through all the different core curricular, and then we have in the cafeteria B, all the extracurricular and other clubs are set up. So parents that are 8th grade try to make up their mind if they want their child to stay in Fair Lawn, if they want them to go somewhere else, which we don't want them to, we want them to stay here. They get a real good look at what the child has in front of them if they go to Fair Lawn High School. It's a magnificent night. It's one of the best nights, I think, you can spend. So try to make that, if you can, and I think you'd be very proud of the district as you do that, or the high school, I should say. The Jersey On information that Mr. Tratner brought, I did investigate as people asked me, the board did ask me, a couple of members. I contacted Mr. Peluso, who is on the, I think, the executive director. We talked about it. Mrs. Wilson and I had a chat with Kurt. And what we decided, there were options. What we decided to do was take the option of dissemination, so we're getting that information out in the district schools. So people can read it, and if they want to take advantage of that program, I think it's a great opportunity for them to do that. And I found that distributing that, it was absolutely, in my opinion, there was no problem in doing it. I think it was a healthy way to do it.
Thank you.
So I thank everybody for their support and their patience while I had a better, get a better handle on it before I just say yes to distribute something.
Thank you, Rich.
You're welcome. The Rutgers University School of Education, this is great. Listen to this. You know we have a number of partnerships. We have a great partnership with Montclair. And we have a number of their student teachers here, which is great for us because we get a chance to work with them, we observe them, and then when they're outstanding, and their position is that we can grab them right away, and they want to stay with us. But we also have a relationship with others. We have a relationship with FDU, and we do a college, middle college with their curriculum, etc. We have a relationship with Bergen Community College, where we send children, students, or young people, as a dad talks. Yeah, and we send them, if they have enough credits, we will send them over to get some college experience on campus. Well, we also have a number of relationships, a number of programs with Rutgers. We have the Waxman project that we have with Rutgers. We have our Physics First program is following the Rutgers curriculum. So we have a number of partnerships. We have a new partnership with Rutgers, and we have worked with Rutgers with our world language and our ELL teachers, and there are, I think, 7 of those teachers, 7, I'm counting the names. And what we're doing with that for the first time is in their pre-service, teachers at Rutgers, students studying to be teachers, their pre-service will come over and they will spend time with our world language teachers, and they'll shadow them. And they'll spend time with our ELL teachers, and they're going to shadow them. And then we're going to sit from the Rutgers and the Fair Lawn leadership and teachers will sit, and we're going to talk about what did you see, how did you like our instruction, etc. What are we doing? So it's going to be a nice partnership. Hopefully, Rutgers will be able to grow their curriculum from what we're doing a little differently as well. Natalie, want to add to that?
And they're also going to provide our teachers with professional development.
Yes.
So they're going to send their professors in and other personnel to come and provide free professional development for our folks. So that's huge. It's very benefit.
Right. And as always, these partnerships, they come from the people in the trenches. So when we have these partnerships, you have these subject supervisors who are traveling. I know our language arts literacy subject supervisor, Mr. Pankowitz, is sitting on the board at Rutgers in an area of the literacy direction. So, Mr. Dorso is very involved with Montclair partnership. So, we have a lot of good things. Now Liliana, who is the world language supervisor, ELL supervisor, she has come up with this program, recommended for us to look at it. Natalie and I looked at it, we reviewed it, it looks great, and we worked out an agreement on how to operate with each other. So it's really something special here. Okay, teachers, here's a congratulations to teachers Ali Caravano, who is at TJ, and Mr. George Glock, who is at Memorial. Middle school choral students, and I'm going to name the students: Anissa Osbach, Daniel Ketter, that's Memorial School, Maya Galinsky, Ariel Wilk, Shagan Lotum, and Nathan Tang from Thomas Jefferson were selected to participate in the 2014 Bergen County Chorus. The students auditioned with approximately 320 other students, and out of that, 120 were selected from across the county, and those students from those 2 schools were selected. And put the cherry on top, Ms. Caravano, our teacher, music teacher from TJ, was selected to conduct this year's Bergen County Chorus. And that will be held on November 16th, that's a Sunday, 3 p.m. in Bergen Field High School Auditorium. That's pretty exciting stuff. And kudos to all of them. And that ends my comments. Are you applauding because I'm done?
Yes.
Thank you, Bruce.
You're welcome.
Okay,
Thank you.
we are going on to the agenda report, as it is now called. We will be voting in sections. S1, resolution regarding the retirement of Marcia Burke. Elise, could you please read that?
Whereas Miss Marcia Burke, a dedicated and conscientious special education teacher at Thomas Jefferson Middle School, has requested retirement at the end of the day on January 31st, 2015. And whereas Ms. Burke, in the exercise of her daily responsibilities, reflected a genuine warmth, affection, and understanding of the individual needs of her students with those skills demanded by the needs of our society. And whereas Ms. Burke has effectively discharged her duties as a middle school special education teacher, and in doing so has endeared herself to students, parents, and colleagues alike. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education extends its sincere appreciation for the many years of service rendered by Ms. Marcia Burke, and wishes for her good health and happiness in her retirement. And be it further resolved that the Secretary of the Board of Education be directed to spread this resolution in full upon the minutes, and that the Superintendent of Schools dispatch a copy of this resolution to Ms. Marcia Burke.
S2, Mike, would you read that, please?
Resolution regarding the retirement of Ms. Catherine Knox. Whereas Ms. Catherine Knox, a respected and valued employee of the Fairlawn Board of Education, has requested retirement at the end of the day on March 31st, 2015. And whereas Ms. Knox, employed in various clerical assignments in the district as well as guidance secretary at Thomas Jefferson Middle School, efficiently executed those duties assigned to her with competence and courtesy while rendering an important service to our entire educational community. Therefore, be it resolved that the Fairlawn Board of Education hereby gratefully acknowledges the standards displayed by Ms. Knox and the performance of her duties, and wishes her many happy and joyous years in her forthcoming retirement. And be it further resolved that the Secretary of the Board of Education be directed to spread this resolution in full upon the minutes, and that a copy of this resolution be sent to the employee being so honored.
Thank you. S3, Mark, would you want to read?
Resolution regarding the retirement of Ms. Nancy Emilo. Yes, Emilo. Whereas Ms. Nancy Emilo, a dedicated learning disabilities teacher consultant in the Fairlawn Public School District, has requested retirement effective December 31st, 2014. And whereas Ms. Emilo, with warmth and kindness, being truly respectful to the needs of her special education students, conscientiously and competently guiding them so as to enable them to fulfill their role in today's world, and therefore be it resolved that the Fairlawn Board of Education publicly acknowledge the accomplishments achieved by Ms. Emilo in her teaching endeavors of those students entrusted in her, and wish her a long, happy, healthful, and happy retirement. Be it further resolved that the Secretary to the Board of Education be directed to spread this resolution in full upon the minutes, and that a copy of this resolution be sent to the employee so being honored.
Thank you, Mark. Can I have a motion to approve S1 through 3?
Second.
Comments from the board? Comments from the audience? Dr. Dean?
I just wanted to comment publicly about Marcia Burke and also Nancy Emilo. Marcia has been a teacher with us for a long time, and she had a way of pushing us to be better. She'd always question, why can't we do that? Why can't we get to that point? And I think she's not only contributed to helping our department to become better, but certainly touched the lives of many middle schoolers. And the special education department certainly will miss her. She's a valued member, and we wish her well. And Ms. Emilo, an LDTC at the high school, she's been with us 10 years, and Nancy came to us with a talent for helping children with learning disabilities enter college.
And that's her strength, that's her specialty area, and so many children young people have gone on to college and done so well. We'll come back to tell her about that. And she's really contributed to our high school department of special education in that way. And I want to thank her for her efforts.
Thank you. Bruce?
Yes, I think Joyce obviously has hit the nail on the head with that, but Marsha Berg, outstanding special educator. Always enjoyed going over to speak to the TJ faculty, because Marsha always had a question for me. There was never a time I was there she didn't have a question. She's excellent, great teacher. Catherine Knox, I remember when I first came here, Kathy was here, and she has really developed and moved up the ladder and taken on more and more and more to take this position, which it's going to be hard to fill because she's involved in scheduling, which is one of the, it's pretty complex when you sit down and try to schedule. If you have not scheduled, you don't understand how tough it is, right, Jim? That's for sure. That's for sure, I know. And high school is probably the most difficult, but Kathy is excellent. Nancy Emelo is at the high school. Well, she's been around. She's worked in a number of different schools. Outstanding in what she does, what she has done to help. We've had meetings in my office, and she's come up with recommendations, right, Joyce, to help a student. And they will sometimes say, wow, why didn't we all figure that? And she was terrific. So these are three wonderful people. They'll be missed, and we wish them the best. And we're going to have to set our sights and now try to find people to replace them, which we will do, but they won't be those three. So we wish you well.
Yes, we do. Roll call.
Mr. Banta?
Yes. Yes.
Before I ask for comments, I make the motion. Mrs. Frankel?
Yes.
Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Mr. Mancinelli?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Spindell?
Yes.
Mr. Tratner?
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush?
Yes. S4, approval of emergency and crisis management plan. S5, approval of district focus. S6, school violence and HIV reports public hearing. 7, approval of New Jersey Cruise Act statement of assurance. 8, approval of the middle school age wrestling program. Can I have a motion to approve S4 through S8?
So moved.
Second.
Comments from the board? Comments from the audience on 4 through 8? Seeing none, roll call.
Mr. Banta?
Yes.
Mrs. Frankel?
Yes.
Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Mr. Mancinelli?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Spindell?
Yes.
Mr. Tratner?
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush?
Yes. E1, attendance at conference convention workshop. E2, approval of extracurricular trips. 3, approval of student teachers interim practicum field observation placement. E4, approval of bedside home instruction. E5, approval of after-school workshop. E6, approval of compensation Memorial Middle School Title I academies. E7, approval of compensation Title III kindergarten ESL. E8, approval of compensation Title III middle school ESL. Can I have a motion to approve E1 through E8?
So moved. Second.
Comments from the board? Comments from the audience on E1 through E8? Natalie?
I just wanted to mention that with Liliana, she's going to be going to the national conference with the American Council on the Teaching of Foreign Language. And she's actually a presenter representing her on there. So she's going to be presenting on problem-based learning in the world classrooms. So I just wanted to make mention of that.
That's great. We're proud of that.
Very proud.
Roll call?
Mr. Banta?
Yes.
Mrs. Frankel?
Yes.
Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Mr. Mancinelli? Mr. Mancinelli?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Spindell?
Yes.
Mr. Tratner?
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush?
Yes. P1, approval of resignation of non-certificated personnel. 2014-15 school year, I will not repeat the year. P2, approval of certificated day-to-day substitutes and bedside home instruction personnel. P3, approval of non-certificated day-to-day substitutes. P4, salary adjustment to a higher degree status. P5, appointment of non-certificated hourly personnel. P6, approval of extension of leave of absence without pay, certificated personnel. P7, approval of extension of leave of absence without pay, non-certificated personnel. P8, appointment of temporary high school media center after-school personnel, certificated personnel. P9, appointment of temporary high school media center before school personnel, certificated personnel. P10, appointment of after-school security attendants. P11, approval of leave of absence without pay, non-certificated personnel. P12, approval of leave of absence without pay, child rearing, certificated personnel. P3, approval of leave of absence without pay, certificated personnel. P14, approval of leave of absence without pay, custodial personnel. P15, appointment of non-certificated hourly personnel. P16, approval of volunteer services. P17, approval of winter sports Schedule C positions. P18, change in assignment of non-certificated personnel. P19, approval of appointment of secretary clerical personnel. Can I have a motion to approve P1 through P19?
So moved. Good.
Comments from the board? Comments from the audience? Roll call, please.
Mr. Banta? Yes. Mrs. Frankel? Yes. Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Mr. Antonelli?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Dell?
Yes.
Mr. Tratner?
Yes.
Ms. Parker?
Yes. SE1, approval of tuition transportation to special schools providing regular special education. SE2, approval of bedside home instruction for classified students. SE3, approval of tuition transportation to special schools providing extended school year special education. Can I have a motion to approve SE1 through 3?
So moved.
Second.
Comments from the board? Comments from the audience? Roll call.
Mr. Banta?
Yes.
Mrs. Frankel? Yes. Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Mr. Antonelli?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Spindell?
Yes.
Mr. Tratner?
Yes.
Ms. Barker?
Yes. And before we vote on F, I just asked Joanne to make a comment that I'm sure everybody will be
Yes.
happy to hear.
I sent home, I hope everybody got my email. It was, we received notice from the Jersey Schools Insurance Group after I had already sent home our draft agenda, congratulating us that our district has received a New Jersey Schools Insurance Group a 2014 Safety Award. If you look to the back of the room, we've had these in past years, but we didn't make the award for the last, I think, 2 years. So we're back in business as far as they're concerned with safety. And there's a press release that came along with it that we'll send to the newspaper, just so you understand, or everyone in the audience understands the reason. The 2014 recipients were recognized for implementing an effective safety program in the districts. This minimized the workers' comp costs. The ultimate benefit is to the taxpayers and students. The students will have fewer substitute employees, so the continuity of their education is maintained at the highest level. The taxpayers will realize the savings as the school district pays out lower insurance premiums. So I'm glad, that we were able to get that on the roster to be able to receive an award. We go through a process to be able to prove what our record is, and I was really happy to see this. It was a nice surprise. So the board will be able to receive the plaque at a ceremony at the New Jersey School Board's conference, and I'll give you the details on that as soon as we have them on Tuesday night.
Congratulations to you and to your staff. That's a wonderful, I'm really looking forward to receiving that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. F1, school use. F2, acceptance of gifts. F3, discards. F4, bills payable payroll. F5, bills payable. F6, transfers July 2014. F7, transfers August 2014. F8, transfers September 2014. F9, board secretaries report June 2014. F10, board secretaries report July 14. F11, board secretary report report, August 14. F12 Board Treasurer's Report, June 14. F13 Board Treasurer's Report, July 14. F14 Board Treasurer's Report, August 14. F15 approval of resolution to continue to participate in Middlesex Regional Education Services Commission Cooperative Pricing System. F16 Bergen County Voluntary Intergovernmental Purchasing Program. F17 approval to participate in the PEPPM Technology Bidding and Purchasing Program. F18 approval to participate in Keystone Purchasing Network. F19 resolution to submit comprehensive maintenance plan. F20 application for dual use of educational space. F21 acceptance of Bergen County Utilities Authority grant. F22 ratifies the collective bargaining agreement between Fair Lawn Board of Education and the Fair Lawn Association of Educational Secretaries. F23 acceptance of safety grant. F24 ratifies the contract with Advocate to manage the RFP process for the district custodial and management services operation. F25 resolution directing the undertaking of a continuing disclosure review and authorizing participation in the municipalities' continuing disclosure cooperation initiatives of the Division of Enforcement of the U.S. Securities Exchange Commission. F26, resolution to provide for the submission of a special ballot question to the school district voters at a special school district election to be held on Tuesday, December 9th, 2014. May I have a motion to accept F1 through 26?
So moved. Second.
Comments from the board? Comments, Jeff?
With regard to the resolutions, I don't know what F numbers they are. I'm looking forward to getting that word out and the board working together to make sure that our resolutions are passed. That's it.
John?
F19, thanks Tom Senko. You read the comprehensive maintenance plan, it sounds repetitive, but he executes all of it. And F21, thank you for the grant, Bergen Utilities Authority.
F2, want to thank PTA at Mills and PI and the PTA at Mills for the donations, the PTAs. We can't do it without the PTAs and PTOs.
Great point.
That is for sure. Any other comments from the board? Comments from the audience on F1 through F26? Ron, could you please state your
Yes,
name
I
for the
can.
tape?
Ronnie Barbarolo, 1027 3rd Street, Fairlawn. Is this exactly how this referendum is going in on the ballot? Or is this the
Yes.
final?
It should be. My understanding is yes.
I mean, that's the way I understood it.
Yes.
I just wanted to
Yes.
clarify. Thank you.
You're welcome. Roll call.
Mr. Banta? Yes. Mrs. Franco? Yes. Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Mr. Mancinelli?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg?
Yes on everything except F22, I think.
Mr. Spindell?
Yes.
Mr. Tratner?
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush?
Yes. We have one addendum.
Are we all supposed to abstain?
Not necessarily. My,
Yeah, but one is after closed session. Okay, we have two addendums. The first addendum we're adopting now. The second addendum, we will be coming out of closed session and voting on addendum 2, that's the HIV. Addendum 1, approval of non-bargaining personnel 2014-15 school year. Number 2, approval of extra instructional time certificated school personnel. May I have a motion to accept addendum 1, and 2?
so moved.
Second.
Comments from the board? Comments from the audience on addendum 1, and 2? Seeing none, roll call.
Mr. Banta?
Yes.
Mrs. Franco? Yes. Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Mr. Mancinelli?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Spindell?
Yes.
Mr. Shatner?
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush?
Yes. Okay, this is our public comment portion of the meeting. Open it up to public comment on anything you would like to discuss. Now's your time.
Actually, I have a question
Just
about
state your name.
Michelle Nappy. I have a question regarding getting information out to parents mostly about the referendum. Now, are we able to use the school messenger to get information out? Because the PTAs and PTOs can send out to our members through email. We can't send anything home with the students, from what I understand. Is it possible, because there are groups of parents that will not get, is it possible just to give them information, not to say vote for it, just to say that there is a referendum and maybe visit the website to get more information?
Yes, that's, yes, as long as you're not advocating.
No,
for,
that's
you
what
know,
we don't either, we just give
Correct.
the information on.
To educate the taxpayer as to what they're voting
Yes.
for when they go into the polls
Mhm.
is absolutely acceptable and very much wanted.
Okay, great, thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, old business. New business. Can I have- Okay, Michelle, any message that goes out on the school messenger
Mhm.
needs to have approval by the school, the building principal and superintendent.
Okay, but can it be a district-wide one, say one that you do for
Can be.
snow days,
Yeah.
so that it's not by,
It can be, it's just, you have to be very careful. I can't advocate, I can't,
Yeah.
it's gotta be
Mhm.
information purposes, you can get some information here on the date.
Which
You can
is
say
why-
the date.
yeah. Because our main thing is the parents are the ones that are going
Sure,
to vote
absolutely.
for this, and we have to get this
Right.
out.
We just don't wanna wind up in court.
I'm just concerned about the timing, if we're able to get
Afterwards.
letters home
Right.
to everyone, I'm not sure that we'd be able to do that. in
Well,
time.
we have one of our committees, one of the board's committees, is community relations and other
Mhm.
things. And I have a feeling that they're gonna wanna get together, if not a committee of the whole, and talk about what are we going to do, getting information out
Mhm.
electronically, voicemail, text, or something. I'm sure that's gonna be part of our conversation.
And the PTO will do, I think the PTA council will do something as far as a letter, possibly information that can be sent, emailed to all the PTA, PTO members.
Right, so,
Okay,
Right.
thank you.
I would like to see PTA council get as involved as they can. There used to be a committee on PTA council for getting out the budget, Flair. If
Mhm.
I will be at your next PTA
Yeah, we can
council.
discuss
I
it there.
unfortunately couldn't make the first one, and I would like to go into further discussion of that at your meeting. If you would indulge me. Thank you. I used to run Flair, so.
Okay,
Okay.
that would be helpful.
Okay, no problem.
That's good.
I'm also going to ask Kathy Marinello to be she's the
Yes.
historian parliamentarian for PTA
Mhm.
council, so she is
Yes.
entitled to attend those meetings, and I'm
Mhm.
going to ask that she be in
Perfect.
attendance.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, I'd like a motion to adjourn. I'm sorry, I forgot meeting dates.
Well, we're gonna have a public relations committee, let's try to take, not in just a future. I don't know, November 3rd, Monday. And what I wanna do is, Jeff's suggestion is, we'll advertise it, so anybody who wants to come can come. It'll be a community relations meeting, but if it's advertised, then we can have 4, 5, 6, 7 members, or 9 members if you want.
I'd like to be there for that as well.
Okay. November 6th, is that better?
Why would we have to do that, Dave? Because you're public relations.
But it was fine, I read your thing, it was fine. So we kind of just left it instead at the, yeah.
Well, the 6th is
You can't do it on the sixth, so do it on the third.
third, okay, November 3rd, 7:30.
At the bank, right. We didn't think of that one.
7:30. But it's open, so we're gonna advertise. Okay, that's it.
Anybody else have meetings they have to schedule?
Is there, do we have any policy around the big referendum?
Kind of serve two purposes.
17 is too soon.
So what do you, hours?
We need another policy. Second reading.
Because she lost.
We need another policy.
Well, I just want to let you know, varsity, is that the third? 17th is varsity sports, varsity 17th.
Yeah, November 17th.
November?
November 17th.
Yeah, you got an email on it.
Yes, I did.
November 17th.
It's Monday.
Then you got the 13th or the 24th?
I'm sorry.
The regular meeting is just
Jen? Hey, Jen, what time is that?
Varsity sports are at 7.
Can you be ready there by the 10th? The 10th for policy,
November 10th.
November 10th,
What time?
7 o'clock.
What? Okay. 7 o'clock, okay for you?
That's a Monday.
I don't, I'll be here. It's 7.
Okay, is that it, John? Policies? Does anybody else need any meetings? Okay, I'll just, the varsity sports dinner is, or sports award is 11:17, okay? Policy is at 11:10 at 7. Public relations is 11:03 at 7:30. And the regular Board of Ed meeting is the 20th. And student dialogue at 5:30, followed by the regular board meeting. And all of these meetings, with the exception of varsity sports, is being held here. And the varsity sports awards is being held at the high school. And what time is that, Jim? 7:30? 7?
7.
Okay.
Is there,
Auditorium.
is there a date for the Blaze dinner dance yet?
Yes, the 22nd,
Okay, thank you.
November,
Do you know what time that starts? Off the top of your head?
6 o'clock.
Thank you.
It's Riverview Manor, corner of Route 20 and Walnut. And I don't know what is being served.
Go out of here, you make a right.
Can you provide me with an alternate way so I don't have to go to the Fairlawn Bridge? It's scary.
Where?
I know. I've been there a few times.
No, she's so,
I know where
Right,
it's
see,
at.
I'd like to make a motion to recess into closed session, take a 10-minute
So
recess.
moved.
Second.
Third.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're going to reconvene into open session to take further action.
And then go back to.
Go Jets. They're losing 14-12.
Don't you have,
yeah, I came for what I wanted.